Start. Welcome everyone to the Guardians of Gaia. We're gathering on a very special day today, the day after solstice, although we're still in that beautiful passageway of this collection of lights where the sun becomes very present for that 3 days in the Northern Hemisphere, allowing all of us to sync up with the codes of the sun and the solar system. And through the passageway of all the sun portals, all the way back to source. We're receiving all of those codes at this time through that beautiful gateway. And then in recognition also that wherever there is light, there is also the reflection of the other. So having that full moon, her beautiful presence, allowing us to shed and release what is ever ready to let go of at this time, so that we can step into our full abundance, that we can step into the fuller alignment of our soul selves in order to step in fuller guardianship of Gaia herself. So letting all of that land in your field, we're going to let Carrie begin our circle today by doing the alignment process, and after which I'll guide us through another part of the meditation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm very, very happy to be with all of you this evening here where I am in Northern Italy and feeling you all in various places in the world. We're going to begin with the alignment. And if it's the beginning of your day or the end of your day, or you haven't moved your body yet, please feel free to stand up, to shake it out, to move, and just allow your body to guide you in whatever way is necessary. We're going to take a few very deep breaths to fully oxygenate our body. And even if you're sitting, just shake out a bit to come deeply into your physical home. Use sound, use breath, use movement. Anything that you need to come into this present moment and to come into this physical home that is your body. And as we align the physical, the mental, the emotional bodies, if your emotional body is slightly outside of you, welcome it back in. If your mental body feels particularly busy today, put her on an elevator and welcome her down into your belly, into your womb space, your pelvic bowl. And we will align the physical, the mental, and the emotional bodies with all pervading soul, higher self, and oversoul. And this is our true self, beyond any illusions, our true self, which is synchronized, synergized, and synthesized with the universe, and fully and completely embodied. And from here, imagine a luminous thread from your root, from your base, your womb space, whether you're a man or a woman, and send it deep down through the earth. Send it through the soil, the sand, through the bedrock, and send it deep into the molten core within the very heart of Gaia, our home planet. And as you inhale, bring these primordial elements and energies up through your feet, through your calves, bring them up to your thighs, to your waist. Absorb them into your pelvic bowl and bring them deep into the belly. And use sound to fully integrate your earth energy here into your belly, taking a deep breath and expanding with sound. And on your next inhalation, up through the feet, through the legs, through the thighs, the hips, the belly, the womb space, bringing all of this primordial energy into your heart space and expanding out with sound. and activating the Earth Star, 1 foot beneath your feet, and connecting through the divergent meridians of our planetary body, and connecting with the primordial elements of creation in their purity and their infinite potential. And breathing and bringing them up through your pillar so that they can cleanse, they can clear, they can purify, regenerate, revitalize, and recalibrate. And you'll bring these energies all the way up to your soul star, 1 foot above your head. And from this soul star, we are activating all of our celestial energies so that they might move through us. And we breathe these energies down as our terrestrial energies move up so that they may mix and intermingle, providing us with the truest representation of ourselves. And invite these energies in that they may fuel us and feed us and nourish us, as they are the deepest forms of energy that are available to us. And we are regenerating and rejuvenating, strengthening and harmonizing our toroidal field, connecting ours with the toroidal field of our planetary body, which is at home within our deepest being. From here, we surrender through the core of Source in the heart of Gaia, where the new earth architecture emerges within ourselves. And you can imagine the planetary body within your pelvic bowl, or I myself imagine myself tucked within the planetary body, as we are not separate from her. And surrendering through the core of Source in your own heart space, harmonizing into the frequency of love, love for ourselves, love for our community, and love for our planet. And surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the sun. And you may want to visualize your heart being filled with the light of the sun and the radiant body, and its rays pouring out of you as an outpouring of love. And surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of the moon. You may wish to imagine the moon in her silver splendor washing over you and bathing her in her mystery, in her light. And activating our solar discs and our lunar discs. Tuning into the frequency and connecting to the common song of all activated discs. Receiving and integrating all messages in alignment with new earth architecture and harmonizing with our soul's divine blueprint. Surrendering through the core of Source and the galactic center. And you may wish to visualize the galactic center in your pineal gland. This is our gateway to God, our gateway to creation, as we connect through the great central sun. And from this space of coherence and alignment, embodiment, we each call forth our highest soul destiny in the service of person, people, and planet. Person, the self. People, our communities at large, and the way that they weave throughout humanity as a whole. And the planet, our chosen home within and without, the consciousness of Gaia. And may our service be in accordance with divine will and divine plan, and in right relationship with our physical bodies and our human experience, leaving behind any remnants of indoctrination which does not belong to any of us or the divine. And may our physical bodies and this human experience overflow with physical health, wealth on all levels, and abundance, so that we can experience play, passion, and pleasure, and conscious community, deep intimacy, and full love, so that we may embody authenticity, creativity, and spontaneity, and so that we may realize the invitations that arrive and come our way when we are in a deep state of flow. And each of us grounding and giving gratitude for the land on which we stand, and being energetic pillars in this land that we are standing in, that we can transmit to one another codes and information that need to be sent. For it's no accident that we find ourselves here exactly where we are. And thanks to the guardians, seen and unseen, and the ancestors of this land and our ancestors, giving thanks to you and our soul families, our galactic families and monadic families, giving thanks to our biologic families who we have also chosen, and giving deep gratitude to all of those who support our earth work and our earth walk and the emergence of our authentic selves. Aho.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carrie. While we're in this expanded state, we're going to stay in connection, and we're going to invite in the seen and the unseen realms. As you breathe into your bodies, stepping more fully into circle, recognizing that each one of us carries a pillar of light. That while we're in connection, this light becomes one. Through this singular pillar, we are able to advance and expand out to layers beyond what one system can endure. Through this connection, we are able to go through the portals of the suns, calling in Solaris and Alcyon, traveling through the portals of the greatest sun to show up, the most ancient, primordial source sun, through which the source codes are transmitted from each sun all the way back to our systems, activating our systems of light to turn on, to activate, and to remember. In this sacred passageway which we now stand, those codes are amplified as our sun comes into stillness, allowing us to interface with these ancient codes of remembrance, these ancient codes of purification, and the codes needed to come forward at this time to make changes in our own systems, as well as the system of Gaia herself, recognizing into the field Gaia as Sophia, Gaia as galactic Gaia version of self, the ascended version of Gaia, through which our soul bodies remember, for which we have been here many times, lifetime after lifetime, in our soul journeys in connection to her. She is our root and our grounding space. She is the heartbeat by which ours can be balanced. She is that feeling of home that welcomes us as her children as her divine being counterparts that are all stepping back into the remembrance of who they are in order to take stewardship, to take on the roles of the guardian, receiving the codes from the earth through the portals of our feet, receiving the codes of the earth through our heartbeats, and feeling that connected space at all times to the most ancient ones, to the rock guardians, to the celestial waters of the rivers and the lakes and the oceans, the keepers of time, the keepers of the remembrance of the codes of the humans beyond lifetimes that we can trace back. The earth holds the memories for us. And as we travel to sacred places, our soul remembers, is taken back to lifetimes beyond this one, is taken back to those soul codes that we need for our gifts to turn on, for our memories to complete, and for the acknowledgement that we are greater than self, that we are connected through the source field of all things. Stepping into that expanded space, we fall into the field of source, that field of connection, of unity, of the heart field, for it is the same. The heartbeat of the cosmos can be felt in this space. The heartbeat of Gaia herself can be felt in this space. We recognize now the beings of the seen and the unseen realms, that which are wishing to be participants of this circle today. Calling in our animal allies from all the realms. Calling in the essence of the plant beings, which hold medicine and wisdom to heal our physical bodies and to bring them into balance and to elevate them with their vibrational energy. That we are also able to take in the codes of source through the plants themselves, for they are solar beings as well. Calling in the elemental energies, the elements of fire, activating our energy centers through that element, the element of wind, through which the ancient wisdom is whispered into our beings. The information of change can also be felt and transmitted, bringing in that element of water, through which washes away what is ready to be removed, allows us to shift, to emote our emotions, allow them to flow like rivers, allowing our physical bodies to transition from density into light, from particle into plasma, and then into the crystallized forms. As we walk on our journey, our crystallized bodies, our star bodies come into alignment, turn on and activate. It is through these systems that we communicate telepathically to all that is. It is through these systems that we are able to return home to ourselves. It is through these systems that we feel connected to the stars and to the planets. Understanding that we are not alone in our own consciousness space, that we are always supported and connected beyond the physical realm. That not only do we have guides, that we also have star families, that we are part of star councils, that when we are ready to participate in the higher realms are ready to participate with us. It is an equal exchange. Based out of harmony and love. Recognizing the star families to come forward at this time, supporting our journeys. Recognizing our dragon families to come forward. Who speak on a language that is beyond the human. Recognizing the cetacean realm to come forward. Supporting us through the oceans. Bringing about the change and allowing the shifts to continue to occur with balance, supporting the humans, allowing ease and grace for the changes to occur. And understanding that all is divinely timed. There is no danger when there is connection. Recognizing the consciousness of the sun and the moon together. Working in harmony to bring balance. Recognizing that the solar discs do not work without the lunar discs, that they need both. We need both, as well as the earth and the collective. In this great pause, in this great time of reflection, the sun is stepping forward to amplify what needs to be removed, what needs to be turned on, and what is going forward. And at this time, the moon steps forward to help wash away all that is not of our divine blueprint. That we may more fully embody into the human vessel, into the human experience, allowing the soul self to turn on. In this space, we will slowly come back to our physical systems, slowly come back to our bodies, holding this connection circle, allowing the codes to be exchanged, allowing the information that wishes to come forward to be shared, connecting to that source field, and allowing all that wishes to be revealed at this time to be shared from the space of the heart in connection to the all through the journeys of the one. Slowly walking all the way back to our human bodies. Anchoring in, allowing gentle movement to come into our space, wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, and opening your eyes. when you're ready to come back in. Beautiful. How was that for everyone? Good. Happy to have you all here. What wants to come forward in this space today as part of the information to come forward is something that we tapped into in our mastery class on the last gathering that we had together. One of our sisters who, because of her location, she's connected to Stonehenge. And so she is actually broadcasting from that space when she comes into Circle and shares. She had brought into Circle a venturing that she took where the original stones were gathered that created Stonehenge. And also in connection to a burial ground in connection to the stones themselves. And as we as a group tapped into it, the information that wanted to come forward was that the stones that were gathered for Stonehenge were originally placed in a location and then they were moved. And during that movement, the sacredness of those stones was disturbed. That they wanted to be held in the sacred space. And by moving them and transporting them in a way that was not their choice, that they were not fully in their power when they're in that placement of Stonehenge. So as a group, what we did was bring them back to their purity. And through that, the creation gates of the stones themselves wanted to come forward. And tapping into this energy of the creation gates, while we were in the circle, in my solar plexus, one of the stargates wanted to open up in connection to the circle themselves as a portal and the activation place of those original codes of the creation gates. And what we can tap into is those creation gates in the purity of where they want to show up can come forward at this time. That some of these sacred places on the earth need to be brought back to the creational zone, to the purity of why they are there and what they are used for. And Carrie, if you want to share any codes that want to come forward in connection to this, or Jennifer, because you were in the circle too, whatever your information that wants to be shared, you guys are both welcome.
Within my system, this is still an early awareness. The awareness did not come to me a couple weeks ago, but actually when you and I met right before this gathering this evening, do you remember I told you, Casey, there's a little knock on my solar plexus, like, okay, right, this opening of this stargate. And during your introduction, it opened. So I feel like my system is now tracking into various places that I have certainly felt called to, which I think are now being activated in response. Right. So places where my system had already tracked this year that I needed to be moving towards. So some in the Dolomites area in Italy, some actually on the East Coast in the US, where I felt that there were stones with codes. I feel like currently those are now activating in response to what came forward. I wonder if anyone else is feeling that, either where they've been called to travel to or where they currently are. So I feel like there's a waking up in all of our systems. I can feel this waking up happening and this awareness that we are getting towards these sacred sites that have yet to show us what needs to be seen, but is starting.
Yeah, it feels like some of these sites are not fully activated the way that they once were. Or maybe they haven't brought into the fullness yet until this lifetime, that a shift or a change needs to happen. With the awareness of the Stargate that is in my system, I, as part of our monad, am able to tap into Stargates in general. There's an expansion field that happens whenever a Stargate is open. And I'm learning that I can tap into the Stargates for each soul who I come into contact with and tap back into like their soul lineage and tapping into the Stargates that would bring forth the most information for their soul for this time to activate their galactic levels, their star levels, and to bring forth the codes that will help them on the next phase of their journey. Jennifer, I'm curious if you have an awareness that has come forward after that circle.
Mm. For me personally, there's been a deeper awareness of how my physical body is experiencing not just the energies around me, but the thoughts and the intentions and the way that that's being received and experienced in my physical body. And so I'm getting earlier than in the past when I need to make a shift to take care of myself or to clear something or to look into something. And so rather than it kind of knocking me off my feet, I'm getting it earlier that, oh, something needs to shift here. So it's an awareness that's been fortified is the word that's coming.
Is it your connection with Gaia herself, or is it in connection with the gates?
The gates is what I'm getting. Both. There's almost a rooting down and more so a being held by Gaia in order to be in deeper connection or more expanded connection. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's through that space that you're able to tap in then to the gates, through that grounded kind of held connection to her.
Yeah, that feels true.
I'm curious if anybody else in the circle in connection to Solstice yesterday felt called to go and be on the land. Right? I was definitely out on the land, connecting to some of those codes that wanted to stream in as part of like an activation for my soul, but also just to be that portal of light to open and amplify onto the earth herself, to be that channel for those codes to come in and anchor into the earth. Does that resonate with you guys? Bodhi, I'm curious if you were called out yesterday. Were you on the earth?
Yesterday, yeah, I downloaded some code. Like, it was White Pyramid. I'm not sure it's related to Solstice, but I anchor White Pyramid code to a crystalline grid yesterday. So that's all I did.
That's beautiful. That feels like it's part of your soul journey for sure to come forward, and maybe part of your future work to work with that pyramid grid, the beautiful white pyramid grid. Like you might be called to other locations to do that same activation.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Tiffany, were you out on the land yesterday?
Sorry, just trying to unmute myself. I wasn't out on the land yesterday. I've been out on the land today, but tomorrow I'm going to Kilmartin, which is a very sacred site in Scotland. So I feel like my calling out on the land is tomorrow. It's a very ancient site with standing stones in a stone circle. So yeah, yet to see what unfolds tomorrow. There's a very ancient fort there. There's also other sites in the area with ancient rock carvings and spirals. We were there last year. So yeah, the land around there is very rich.
I love that. I'm
So
excited.
if anything's coming through that I should hold particular awareness of tomorrow, I'm happy to tap into that and take that with me.
Well, it feels like the stones are very excited for you to come and connect with them. It feels like there's definitely a remembrance maybe for you there. But also I'm picking up that perhaps there's an inner earth portal that wishes to be shown to you. Like I keep seeing inner earth as a connection. Is there a vortex? Is there a vortex there also?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with the recognition that the vortex, the energy spins up, it also spins down, right? So there's definitely something underneath that wants to be connected with you.
Fabulous.
Love that. Okay, so exciting.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited. I've been there before, but I'm very excited. Very excited to go. I'm like a kid before Christmas, like, oh good, we're getting up and going on this adventure. And it's quite a long way to go there and back in a day, but I'm yeah, I'll be up and out in the morning.
I often get called to
You-
places and then it takes a little bit to enter my system to be like, okay, we're going on this day, right? So I'm wondering how long those codes have been transmitting for you to be like, come play. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And it's been a very powerful week. I've been running ceremonies for people, small groups and personal ceremonies nearly all week. So there's something definitely very powerful going on through the energies here.
I'm feeling this really particular alignment with the activation of the stones where you're going, Tiffany. It's as if they're getting activated now, but there's a reason you're being called after that moment. Like you're an essential part of this. It feels like I'm going to be very curious what comes of your time there, because it seems like this activation is happening now, but you're an essential part of it. So there's going to be a shift. I'm feeling into this shift that's going to happen on a a very deep level when you're there. So I'll be excited to hear about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Very, very excited to and it's great. I knew I had to tune in tonight. I knew, as I say, it's been a really powerful week with ceremonies, and I'm tired tonight. And I was like, do I stay up or do I go to bed so I can get up early? And I was like, no, I have to tune in and come to this today. So now I know why. so that I can carry this awareness with me tomorrow.
Yeah, you definitely carry some of those activation codes within your system, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
you may be called to meditate in that space or whatever it feels like for you. I love that for you.
Lovely. Yeah, no, I've been running sacred journeys for about 10 years to sacred sites and tuning in and activating. So maybe that's also part of what I'm carrying there tomorrow. It's part of what I've been doing over the years, but less so here in Scotland, than it's more been in Mexico, my work. So there's something about bringing that back here as well, and connecting in here in the homeland.
Yeah, we know that Scotland is energetically shifting and changing at this time. So I'm very sure that you're going to bring those codes back and be part of that shift, that change that's happening right where you are currently. Yes.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. I was just going to share that next time we gather, both Leanne and I will be in Bali. So we're going to be broadcasting out of Bali. She and I have an opportunity to work together. And so my journey is going to begin to go over to her this next Thursday. I'm going to be taking a flight, but I'm going to be also working while I'm on the airplane, right? In connection to some of these solar discs that have been activated. It feels like I'm going to come into resonance with them and activate them on my journey over to Leanne. And then we have Carrie's solar disc, which is there in physicality in Bali. So it's going to be activated by all three of us at the same time, feels like. Yeah. So that will be quite the adventure. Is there anything else anybody wishes to bring to circle at this time in this very beautiful passageway that we're still in?
I have a question for you. I read, Diane, I'm in Peru. I read that the full moon tonight is what they call it, like a halting moon or stopping, because it's reached its full, it's an 18.6 year cycle. And so that the moon will appear full for like 3 days, before it starts moving back again. I was interested in that cycle, in the 18.6 year cycle, and if there's something that you feel like is being initiated with this new movement of the moon.
That's a beautiful question. It's very significant that both the sun and the moon are in that halting phase for 3 days. We see the greatest light and we also have the greatest reflection of the moon at that time. I really feel like it's a shift, a holding place for humanity to level up. We're all being asked to upgrade to these higher levels. And in order to do that, we need the shedding away of anything of the old timelines, the old versions of self, the contracts that are in distortion in our field. I feel that the moon herself is helping to shed all of that. Her beautiful energy, very feminine, very watery, is allowing for all of that to kind of go away. And in that space, when there's that 0 point, then the sun is able to do the solar activation and activating humanity to step into their solar codes as part of the higher consciousness, to understand that we are solar beings, we are cosmic beings, and it allows our soul essence to drop in. How does that feel in your field?
Yeah, I was just thinking of my own movement in the last 18 years ago. It felt like it was the beginning of a very significant time. And so yeah, I feel like this is also some kind of initiation of a new important shift.
Agreed. I'm sure there's an astrological terminology that wants to come forth, but as that soul resonance, I'm sure that we can feel it all in our own journeys, that this is very much that turning point, that fork in the road, and also the availability for those new timelines to come forward, for all of us to jump onto that new timeline. But I'm understanding that in order for us to be at that place, we have to let go of all the old timelines and all the connection to future timelines that we've established up until this point. We have to let all of that go. And at that 0 point where we're not attached to anything, it's when those new timelines that have not been created before are able to come forward. Because in our framework where we were attaching to those new timelines before, we were still attaching to some of the old games, the old paradigms, the old belief systems that kind of held us back. That we have to be in this most expanded state beyond what we're used to for those new kind of pathways to start emerging. It's like a whole new game leveling up. How does that feel for you guys?
Can I just bring in that I believe that the astrological, I may be wrong, but I believe that the astrological alignment is to do with the North Node of the moon, that is what the 18.6-year cycle is. And what I understand of that is that the North Node is destiny. So the South Node is what we leave behind, and the North Node is what we move towards. So in the context of what you've just said, if that alignment is correct, that would fit.
So not only is there a North Node for each one of us individually, but it feels like the moon has a North Node as well as the sun, and they're all shifting at this time. I love that.
That makes me very excited.
Yes. Is there anything else that's popping up into the field?
Something that's wanting to come through is during this really sacred pause with the solstice and this full moon, there is such, it's a centrifugal force of these solar disks that have been activated. Their vibration and their spinning is so profound. And it's as if it's truly like being in a centrifuge. So I think of it, in terms of my medical practice, right? When we're spinning down blood and you have all of these elements, some go to the top, some go to the bottom, and some get spun off and some get used. And I feel this activation within all of our systems in resonance with the activation of the solar disks, which is a spinning off of old indoctrination, old contracts, everything that has latched onto our systems that's no longer serving us. everything of the old earth paradigm, old belief systems. And there's no, it feels like the deepest truth, the deepest core of this is there's no option to remain the same with this much activation in these solar disks. And within an amplified field of love like the one that we're in right now, it feels like it happens at even a more quantum rate. And this pause, this divine pause with where the sun is, with where the moon is, allows for this rapid activity in between, this rapid expansion in between, because they're able to hold the container for it. And this rapid activation that we're all experiencing.
Agreed. I'm thinking, well, not thinking, I'm feeling for you, Carrie, that is super pronounced because of your connection to that solar disk. For my system, I haven't yet received the codes. And I feel like probably for the general population, that as more and more of these solar disks come into alignment, that vibration, that hum that they emit is going to be part of our system's alignment. But as of yet, I can feel the collective one, but I can't feel the individual one coming on. And I feel like it's going to be the same with the lunar discs when they turn on. Feels like we have to do the activation of the solar discs, and then the lunar disc will then be able to be activated. Love that. If we are feeling like we're in completion, we'll just harmonize our hearts. It feels like our heart field wants to be recognized at this time. So stepping back into circle with each one of you just for a minute. Breathing into your bodies, into your spaces. Recognizing that our heart field is in that expanded state with which the codes, the information, the keys that we need for our systems to work in alignment with one another have all been activated in this space. And through that heart field that we feel of that cosmic space, our cosmic hearts, which are bigger than our bodies, are being able to be felt by each one of us here and amplified out in the field. Understanding that our journeys forward, our north nodes become true when they are activated through that heart space. And that our next right steps will come forward. They will be illuminated without a choice. Because that heart coherence to all that is brings it forward, illuminates our path, connects us to one another, and allows us to go forward on our journeys. With such gratitude for our journey today, our gathering in this space and in this circle, we'll breathe deeply into our bodies, stepping back into our individual pillars of light, anchoring that energy into our human systems, allowing for the integration to take place, for the shift to go forward. Breathing into the spaces and places that need extra energy, extra alignment. Breathing into our cells of our bodies, into our joints and our muscles. Thanking our bodies for being here on this journey with us. And when you are ready, we're going to add gentle movement back into our bodies. wiggling and anchoring the spaces that we created through this expanded field. And knowing that we are always connected, always held, always a part of Source. Even though we are in different locations on the earth plane, anchoring our own light. Breathing one last good breath into your lungs and choosing to come all the way back in. Opening your eyes at this time, and we will disconnect from the circle. Beautiful. Thank you everyone for being here. Such a special circle today. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time when it's time to gather again. All our love. Bye.